Okay, so worm composting with Wiggly Wigglers is easy. The wonderful thing about worms is no matter what you do, they do eat waste and they will poop. And the poop is the most fantastic worm compost. It's a fertiliser. People call it black gold. It's like 12 times richer in phosphorus. It's got lots of nitrogen. It's great stuff. Perfect for your tomatoes, by the way. And they also produce a liquid feed. So most of the waste that you put in your wormery is veggie waste, and so it's 90% liquid, so that has to go somewhere. So that's why this kit's been designed especially for worms. So let's get going. The first thing you do is you need to do this before you start. So this is my Blue Peter demo. Here's one I prepared earlier. Just put your coir block into a bucket of water. You'll only need about half of it, and the rest you can use for potting or all sorts of things. But get your bedding blocks soaked. It's going to take, allow a couple of hours. Do it in the morning and set your wormery up in the evening. So prep one, soak your bedding block. Just fill up a bucket of water and pop it in. You can squeeze out the excess water, and here's one I did earlier. And now we're ready. I've put some in the wormery, ready to get the worms in there. So, 500 grams of composting worms. These will eat up to 250 grams of waste a day and produce that much fertiliser and liquid feed out of the result. And of course your worms will breed. Your worms will breed in your kit. So a healthy wormery is easily recognised, and that's when you've got all ages of worm, young, old and eggs in your kit. See if I can find you an egg in a bit. But anyway, we're going to put the worms in. You can stick them in one pile, it's no problem at all. And then we'll leave them to go away from the light. That way they'll establish burrows. So what you don't want to do is mess up your coir any more than this. Make sure it's nice and damp, that there's water that can seep into the sump, and that your worms are going into the bedding. You'll see how healthy they are. They're crawling around, and of course they're cold at the moment, but as they warm up in my hands, I like a worm, they will become more active. Now these worms will breed every 10 days or so. As long as there's space in the kit for them to breed, they'll keep breeding, and so that will speed up your composting. Your job is just to keep them happy. And keeping them happy is a regular supply of food to enable them to move up the trays. And the great thing is, once you've moved up the trays, they will keep reducing the waste. But it means once I add my next tray, once they come up through, then that will leave the compost underneath. But at this stage I'm just going to add some waste and put some newspaper over the top and let them get on with it. So once your worms have just about moved away from the surface and started to make their burrows, then you can add the waste on top of your kit, and basically that's it for today. The sort of waste that you can add though, they love bits of newspaper, apple peel, they love potato peel, any sorts of kitchen waste. Eggshells are very good. People are obsessed with not using onion skins. It's fine, you just need to make sure that every now and again you add some lime mix. So a little bit of acidity is fine. If I had some leftover flowers, I'd pop those in. Apple peel's fine. Eggshell's really good because worms use sort of hydraulics in them to grind up the waste, and so a bit of eggshell really helps with grit, because in the soil they'll have lots of grit. So that will be great. You don't want to add too much, so an inch, 2 centimetres is perfect, or whatever you've got, but don't go mad. Once you've got your waste on there, then you can add a moisture mat or some newspaper. Worms like to do it in the dark and they like moisture, so that's a really good idea. And we need to set it off so that it's the right way round. So this tray is going to go on the bottom, because this tray is where your worms are going to start, and then they will work their way up through the next tray. So at this point you could put this tray on, but it's a bit of a pain. So just pop the lid on, put this to one side, and as your worms start working their way up, check them in a week or so.